Yo, peace was good. Welcome to another hip hop album review. This is part 130. The album that I'll be reviewing today is Outkast's debut album, Southernplayalisticadillacmuzik, released in 1994. All right. For those who don't know what Outkast is, they're a group. They're a hip hop group from Atlanta, Georgia, or the Dirty South. Consists of two members, and those two members are Andre 3000 and Big Boy. All right. They got this. They got this start back in the early '90s, particularly 1992. While they were in high school, they would do what MCs did back in the day. They would battle cats in the lunchroom tables and stuff like that. Do talent shows and stuff like that. And they were actually discovered by Organized Noise, who are the producers of this album. Organized Noise, they consist of three members. Three members are Sleepy Brown, Rico Wade, and Ray Murray. Those are the producers of the album. The producers of the group, excuse me. That makes of Organized Noise. Organized Noise, they also did stuff, for TLC. Like a lot of people, TLC, N.Y.C, Escape. I think they did some stuff for Escape. And countless other people that was on LaFace. I think they did stuff for Usher. I'm not sure about that, but I know that they definitely did stuff for obviously TLC, and Vogue, obviously for Outkast, and other affiliated MCs from that camp, the Dungeon Family. All right. But when they first started, they didn't go by the name of Outkast. They went by the name of Two Shades Deep, but then they wanted to change their name to the Misfits. But if you guys know, there's already a punk rock band by the name of the Misfits from the late '70s, early '80s. They're iconic band and stuff like that. So they ended up calling themselves Outkast, which is like the synonym of Misfits. You know what I mean? So, but they just added a K. All right. The singles off this album, there's 3 singles. The singles are Southernplayalisticadillacmuzik, which is like the self-titled song, Players Ball, and Get Up and Get Out. All right, they all have videos, so I'll post those down in the description box. All right. Like I said before, the production, the producers on the album is Organized Noise. They do all the beats and stuff like that. All right. Features on the album. The features are. If you give me 1 second. Have to look. Goody Mob themselves. Just Goody Mob, and they're not credited, but it's Society of Soul. Society of Soul is they're like an R&B. They're like a funk soul type of group. They're from ATL. They're affiliated with Outkast, which consists of 5 members. Organized Noise themselves. There's one dude named Big Rube and Esperanza Brown. Those are the 5 members of the group. So, like I said, Organized Noise, which is 3 members. Esperanza Brown and Big Rube, those are the members of Society of Soul. I need to get their album Brainchild, which I don't have, but I need to get my hands on that joint right there, just to add on to the Outkast discography. All right. So, like I said, those are the members of the group, and you know how I get down and go through some of the songs. All right. Track 1, Peaches, is just an intro. You just hear this girl named Peaches. Kind of sets the tone of the album. Just talk about how ATL is. You know what I'm saying? When she's talking, she kind of remind me of that girl that, if you guys seen The Warriors, like the female DJ, that black DJ that says sorry about that, boys, good news, that shit. She kind of reminds me of that, if that makes sense. It kind of, to me, it's like a play onto that, you know what I mean? So that's what I got for that joint. It kind of sets the tone of the album. Track 2, my intro to Let You Know. Track 2, the song is about 2.5 minutes long. Pretty dope song. They all go in on that track, especially 3 Stacks. He definitely goes in on that track. It just pretty much lets you know, like, just let them know who they are as people. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I'm a cool dude, but don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with my money. My niggas will, take care of you. You know what I'm saying? If that happens, stuff like that. Just letting you know that, yo, this is who we are, and there's nothing you can really do about it. That's what I got from that joint right there. Pretty cool, pretty a dope way to start the album. Track 3, Ain't No Thing. That's a pretty cool song. Again, it's just them like just telling you how it is where they're from. And I think they're from East Point in College Park, East Point, in at ATL. But just pretty much how they get down in the neighborhood and stuff like that. Whether it's like selling drugs, pimping and stuff like that. But at the same time, they're having a good time. Like while they put in work in the streets. They come home, eat good soul food, whether it's like collard greens, chitlins, fried chicken, mac and cheese, peach cobbler, and stuff like that. That was pretty cool. That's actually one of my favorites. My intro to let you know and Ain't No Thing is actually one of my favorite tracks of the album. Track 4, Welcome to Atlanta. It's just an interlude. You just hear like kind of like a flight attendant like in a plane, just like letting you know welcome to Atlanta and stuff like that. What to expect when you go to Atlanta and stuff like that. That's what I got from that joint right there. Track 5, Southernplayalisticadillacmuzik. I believe that was that's the second single off the album. Pretty dope track. Again, it just talks about the same thing as Ain't No Thing. Kind of telling you guys like how to get down in the ATL. Like I said, they do the pimp. They put in work in the streets. They do what they gotta do. But then at the same time, they go back. Chill with their boys, smoke weed. Drink some 40s. Fuck with the bitches and stuff like that, and things of that nature. Is pretty cool. Track 6, Call of the Wild. That's a pretty dope cut. That's actually featuring Goody Mob. Goody Mob. By the way, I have to do a review on that Soul Food album, which I do have. Stay tuned for that. But Call of the Wild, pretty dope posse cut. The first verse, 3 Stacks definitely had like one of the best verses on the album, on that song, excuse me. In that song, Call of the Wild, he actually talks about, how he kind of has like the temptation of dropping out because it's like, he ended up dropping out of high school, but he actually talks about his experience in high school, how like, his grades were kind of, they were pretty low, he didn't really have the grades to graduate. Like he was sort of about how there was a situation where like he got like a 300 on his SAT, and just like the pressure of him graduating within his family, and within his peers was like really fucking with his brain. It's like it's like fuck this high school, fuck this school shit, man. Like, well, I could be making money, fucking bitches, making money off girls and stuff like that, and things like that. And he ended up doing that, you know what I mean? And he talks about that in the first verse, and just talks about the temptation of the streets, just calling them. Hence the name Call of the Wild, you know what I mean? That's what I got from that joint right there. My only thing, what I've noticed, because like I said, that's a posse cut, but I noticed Big Gip is not actually on the song. I don't know why. Maybe he didn't make it to the sessions or something. I don't know. But yeah, Call of the Wild, that's track 6. Track 7, Players Ball. This is the original version. It's not the video version that you guys know of. Pretty cool track. That's actually the first single of the album. It's pretty much paying homage to the pimps, you know what I mean? Just, Cash is driving the old school Cadillacs, you know what I mean? With the furs, with the hats and stuff like that. Just paying homage to that. And actually, Players Ball is actually an actual event that pimps actually have. I think they have like in like Chicago or like Las Vegas and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty dope. It's pretty paying homage to the pimps and stuff like that, putting in work. Track 8, Claiming True. It's just them saying like, yo, this is who I am. You can accept me for who I am. If you don't like it, go fuck yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Just claiming true to themselves. That's what I got from the joint. Claiming True. Track 9, Club Donkey Ass Interlude. It's just a skit. Track 10, Funky Ride. Uh, Outkast is not appeared in the song at all. This is actually a Society of Soul song. Excuse me. Yeah, it's a Society of Soul song. They all do their thing. You know, it's just them. You know, singing. I think Sleepy Brown's the one that's singing off the song. But then it's like two verses in the whole song. They're very short, but throughout the whole song, it's like an instrumental and stuff like that. Just them, you know, just playing the fuck out of the songs and stuff like this, playing out the instruments. You hear the guitar. It's just them going in on the song and stuff like that. That was a pretty cool track. A little bit too long for my taste, if you ask me. About it's like 6.5 minutes long, but overall a very feel good track. Very dope. Flim Flam interlude. That's just an interlude. Track 12, Get Up and Get Out. Pretty dope songs. A very motivational song. It's just pretty much telling you, talking about like, yo, get up, get out your ass, go do something. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. You know, not everybody's gonna pat you on the back. Oh, poor baby. You know, let's say you got laid off from your job. You know, you feeling sorry for yourself is not going to get you another job. You got to go out and put in work, you know, put in applications, put out your resumes, you know, network, you know. That's what I got from that joint right there, and it's a pretty dope track. Dope video too, by the way. Pretty cool right there. Track 13, True That is an interlude. It's just an interlude, stuff like that. Track 14, Crumbling Herb. Self-explanatory. It's just sort of about smoking weed, just talking about their love for weed and stuff like that. Pretty dope track. That should have been a single, honestly, because that shit right there. But then, you know, at the time, like, you know, besides obviously the Chronic, but you know, like, talking about weed wasn't really the most popular. It was, but America wasn't ready for that. So I guess that's why that wasn't really a single. But pretty dope track right there. Track 15, Hootie Hoo. That's a pretty cool track too. I think that was. No, it wasn't. Oh, by the way, Goody Get Up and Get Out was a posse cut too. That's with Goody Mob as well. Hootie Hoo. There's another street track, you know, just them going in on the track, you know what I mean? Just how to get down in the hood and stuff like that. Track 16, Deep, but it's spelled out though. Another dope joint right there. They definitely going on that track. And track 17, Players Ball Reprise, is actually the remix version of Players Ball, but it's not the actual remix, like where they rapping over, like they rapping their verses. It's just I think it's Sleepy Brown just singing the song, he's just like singing off the song and stuff like that. But it's actually pretty cool, man. It's a nice way to end the track, to end the album, excuse me. But overall, very dope album. I think this is a classic album. You know, I think this is where they coined this, the term Dirty South, because people just call it the South. And what I like about this album is the fact that, yeah, they were using like the SP1200, the TR-808s and stuff like that, but they also used live instrumentation, and there was no sample used and stuff like that. You know, with this album, you kind of get how Atlanta was back in the day. You actually got that vibe, you know, you can feel the red clay that they have in ATL, that you can feel, you know, the southern hospitality, but at the same time, like, yo, this is who we are. We're not from New York, we're not from LA, fuck all y'all niggas, this is how we get down in Atlanta. That was their attitude, like, yo, we're gonna be somebody, you're gonna respect us, this is who we are, and you're gonna accept us for who we are. And I'm glad they did that, because over the years, you know, Outkast is always deemed as some of people's favorite groups, like the best group of hip-hop and stuff like that. And yeah, man, I mean, great album, man. Like I said, you pop this in, you feel like you're in Atlanta, you feel like you're in College Point, you feel like you're in East Point, College Park, you know, all those places. Sorry for butchering, like Bankhead, and you know, all those places. Like you know, you feel like you're in that. You feel like that. You feel like, you know, the whole laid back Southern hospitality. Like I said, you can see the cats driving the Cadillacs and stuff like that, the 20s and all that shit. You know what I mean? But overall, classic album. You should have no excuse especially if you're from the South, not to have this album in your collection. If you're from the South and you don't have this in your collection, shame on you, because this album is an epitome. And it actually, and then another thing too with this album, you know, it kind of like broke the stereotypes of the South. Like, you know, the South was all, because a lot of people especially back then, would say that, oh, the South was all about booty bass music, like Miami bass music, and it's not all about that. Yeah, you had like the Rap-A-Lot movement going on in Texas, like, you know, cats like the Ghetto Boys, the Terrorists, Gangsta Nip, K Reno, you know, cats like that, Point Blank and people like that. But they were more underground. They weren't really, well, except for Ghetto Boys, but the rest that I mentioned, they were like more underground, and they were like more on that horrorcore tip. So people weren't really fucking with that like that. But with this, they kind of broke barriers with this album. It's very groundbreaking. Yeah, man. I mean, this album is a classic album. There's not much I can really say about this album. It's been years since I heard this album, but I popped it in not too long ago, and it just sounds so refreshing this album sounds. And the thing is, this album doesn't sound like it was made in '94. Like, if you pop it in, and like if they was to make this album today, it would sound like it was made yesterday. It's a timeless album. It doesn't sound like from '94. You know what I mean? At least to me, it doesn't. But yeah, man. Overall, very dope album. I highly recommend it for all hip hop heads of all nations, all worldwide, stuff like that. Like I said. But that's it, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed that review. Stay tuned for more. And also, I know a lot of you guys been asking me requests. I appreciate that. I will get to those albums eventually, but you guys gotta understand, I do work. You know, I work. I do have a life outside of YouTube, and so, you know, I hope you guys understand that. I'm pretty sure you guys have lives too, and I know some of you guys don't be on YouTube like that either. At least I hope not. I hope you guys do actually go out, you know, and do something with your life. You know what I mean? This is a hobby for me, but like I said, I will get to those albums that you guys been asking me for eventually, you know. So stay tuned for that though. But that's it, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed that review. Peace.